Welcome to the Smart CEO Smart Chat. I am Kyra Hardwick, and I am thrilled to be here with you. Thanks for tuning in. We hope that this episode will be an incredible influence on the way that you do the work that you do every day. So whether you're a smart CEO, working from home, working from the office, simply navigating your life and family, whatever it is, today's the day you made a great decision to tune into our podcast and get this smart talk. So let's dig in. Welcome back to yet another episode of the Smart CEO podcast. I am today's host, Alina Conley, and I am the program manager for the Smart CEO Capacity Builder cohort. Also, I am the senior division leader for coaching and people development at the Kyra Company. And I am joined today by one of our cohort members, Edith Eubank. She is the founder and CEO of Artastic Art, based out of Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alina, for having me.
Absolutely. And so I would love to hear about your journey. How did you decide to step into this entrepreneurial space compared to more of the traditional 9-to-5 route?
I did have the traditional 9-to-5 route some time ago, and I had promised myself when I retired, I was going to resume the little side gig of what we now know of Artastic Art and do it full time. So I retired last year and it's been full throttle.
I love that. So tell me a little bit about what was your 9-to-5 in the same area or?
Oh my gosh. Now you really want to talk about everything I did. Okay.
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yes, I worked in the educational field for over 37 years in various capacities. I was an art teacher, special ed. I taught preschool. I have taught preschool all the way through college. Okay. And I can say now that I've had a taste of all. I'm glad I had an opportunity to do that. But this is so much fun because art has always been my passion. I love it. I never saw it as a job during that time when I was an art teacher. But after so many years, I said, okay, I want to do something else. This is getting boring. But, and so then I moved into different areas of education. I've had an opportunity to be supervisor, administrator, all of it. But the one thing that resonated for me was always the art. The last position I had was school counselor. And yes, I enjoyed it. And I used art in working with those babies to work out their problems and find solutions. So art has always been in the background of my life.
Yeah. So when did you first discover your talent for art?
Oh my gosh. I think my mother would tell you that was when I was 12 years old because I was drawing and a lot. So she bought me paper all the time, pencils. I would sharpen the pencils and almost have the pencils to a nub when she saw that I was really into the arts. And then when my grandmother would come and visit, or if I came to visit her, I started learning about the fiber arts, about making quilts, making doll clothes, making dolls, eventually making dolls. And that came into vogue when I had my daughter and I started making dolls for her. You probably don't remember Cabbage Patch Kids, but
I do.
Okay. That was something that my daughter really enjoyed, a Cabbage Patch doll. She wanted one for Christmas. I endeavored to try and find her one. I did. And I was tossing with another customer for this doll because the doll fell on the floor and I felt it was community property. Yes, I can laugh about it now. So I scooped it up and made my run to the cashiers.
That's so funny. My cousin actually just sent a video probably 2 days ago of a Cabbage Patch doll war from 1983 in Toys R Us.
Oh God.
She was like, I wasn't even born, but what a time to be alive. It was hilarious. It was like people were like throwing them across the store. So that was quite the feat for you.
I caught myself in the mirror tussling for this doll with the lady. And I said, what am I doing? I don't do this. So I let her go and she fell on the floor. I went out the door and went to Joann's Fabrics to find a pattern in which to make the doll. Of course, everything was sold out. So I just found some material and made my own. And that's what started more or less the doll making avenue of me because of my daughter. And I started making dolls. She still has that doll, by the way, that she
Really?
calls Miss Heather. Yes. Oh, Miss
So what
Heather.
did they look like? If you could just paint the picture for us.
She
Were
does
they
not have a
similar?
plastic.
Were they similar to Cabbage
She
Patch?
doesn't have the plastic face that Cabbage Patch has. She has a cloth face, and I stitched her eyes, nose, and everything. So I sculpted that for her and put in the hair. I cheated on the hair. I used a hot glue gun because I got tired after a while. And her hands and feet were a little animated because I made them a little larger so they could hold on to her and things to that extent. But yes, Miss Heather is still around. I have to try and get a picture of Miss Heather,
Yeah.
but she carries the doll on her bed to this day. My daughter's 40 years old.
And I resonate so much with that because I'm 40, a few more months. My best friend just turned 40, and I'm teasing her because I have 6 more months until I'm 40. And so I'm like, I'm still in my 30s. Um, but I have some of my favorite stuffed animals that I still hold on to. So me and you are cut from the same cloth. But first of all, where are you from originally?
Originally from Detroit. I'm a native Detroiter.
Okay, so when you kept saying doll, I was like, she got to be from the Midwest. Because my best friend is from Chicago, the one I'm talking about. And
Okay.
we went to the American Girl store because I grew up in the American Girl era.
Yeah.
And when we were in college, of course, I'm way too old for them, but I was like, I have to stop by the store. And she was like, Alina has me in the store looking at these doll babies. And I'm like, what is a doll baby? And I finally realized she was trying to say doll baby.
Oh.
But again, so as I'm listening to you, it just cracks me up. But so you made these, and then how did you start translating this into education, though, right? Because there's so many routes that artists can go, but to know that you decided to take your love of art and then transfer it to teaching is a whole nother world, but it's also bringing in your gifts to serve others. So I want to learn a little bit more about how you decided to get into the educational space with that.
Artastic Art was born during COVID.
Okay.
And at that time, I was teaching art here in Arizona. And my partner, who also was my colleague at the time, she taught elementary art. I taught middle school art. And it was difficult to do an art lesson online. Okay. One thing we noticed that the kids weren't engaging as they are when they were in person. Okay. And we noticed that a lot of them became socially distant, not respectful of one another like they would have been in the classroom had we been in the classroom. So I kept thinking, I said, wow, what is going on here? This is this social distance, this disconnect, so to speak. This is not going to work well for us. So then we talked and we talked. I said, you know what? Let's create an activity box. So that's how Artastic Art was born, through an activity box. And in that activity box were lessons that the family could do, all the materials you need in order to do the lessons and make it interactive for the family, not just the kids, but for the family. Okay. And we sold those boxes and they were moving and they were moving, but it started to cost because we couldn't find really a cheap place to get the boxes. Excuse me. And in order to do the mass production of these boxes, I'm not going to deny it was me, my husband, my mother, my kids, anybody who I could rope in to get these boxes mass produced and out there. Okay. It wore me down. It wore us all down because my family said, if you accepted one more order, just one more order. So I had to stop until I was able to find someone or somewhere we could mass produce without asking my family and not cutting too much into our profits. You know what I mean? Put that on hold pretty much, and we became traveling. Once they lifted up the restrictions, we became a traveling art program. So we came to you and we did step-by-step instructions. First, it was the kiddos for birthday parties and things to that extent. And after the kiddos, it was paint and sips. But what we noticed from our competitors, they did in process, they had stencils so that everybody's would look the same. Well, in art, you're going to be objective, not subjective. Okay. In art, you're going to go for what you feel. Yes, I can walk you through the process, but it's going to be your ultimate piece. Okay. Your design. Just like when I'm teaching you, it's going to be your design. Ultimately, it's going to be yours, right? Okay. That has been more or less our journey on that, being with the visual arts, the fiber arts. We target the whole child. What I mean by that is the critical thinking, problem solving, okay, language development skills that enhance all of us, okay? Artastic art came through all the ranks of that. And we're enjoying it. I'm enjoying it because now I can have more fun. Before it was a part-time thing and did it on the weekends because I was working. But now I can do it 7 days a week if I can.
So there are a lot of people that are probably listening. They're like, yes, I can't wait to get to that point where I can go from my passion project being my side hustle to my full time. So when did you know that you were ready to transition?
I think within the ending of COVID, and that's when I formulated my plan. I said, okay, 3 and out, I'm out of here. At 23, I'm coming out. I'm coming out. And then when they co-signed, pretty much told me, because they work on a point system here in Arizona, and he told me I had the points. I had them 2 years ago, but that was okay. And I said, no worries. I said, where do I sign? And he said, you sure you want to come out? Absolutely. I want to do this. I felt that the time was right. Signed those papers and was out.
Yeah.
I
So
haven't looked back.
part of this particular program, one of the things that we really target is starting to help businesses scale and think about expansion and long-term growth. So what would you say is your vision for Artastic?
Okay. The vision for Artastic, we are working with a marketing group to help us update and uplift. All right. Our website, as you can see behind my name, that's the website. It's good for two ladies didn't know what the heck they were doing. But if you want to order any of the materials, you can't because we don't know how to do the check boxes. Okay. So I would say to the viewers, find somebody that's in the marketing field that can assist you in that. Or if you're a website designer, awesome. But that was not our path. That was not our thing. So we're working with them to develop a better social media presence through the marketing collaboration that we're building. And that's through our CEO, Michael Jackson. He's the one that we're working with. So I'm excited. So after the holidays, we're supposed to get together. So that's a yay. We're also collaborating with the schools that we're in right now. And by that, not only for doing the after school program, we're doing at each of the schools, and we're in 3 schools right now, a family art night. And in that family art night, it's utilizing collaboration with the school. If they have a school art program with that art teacher, the music teacher, and having like a walk-through gallery so they can see some of the kiddos' work. With the music teacher, they're having a mini concert. And with us, we're doing a make and take as to what you can do at home. And we're going to continue we have parent volunteers that assist us in the schools right now. And it hit me after going through Smart CEO that utilizing those parent volunteers to eventually put them into the program. When we get funding, put them into the program, train them, continue to train them, and then they can take over where we're at and move on.
I
Okay.
love that. That's a
And
good idea.
then the last one, as far as us moving forward, is through the daycare entity. I met Miss Harris and her daycare, Stepping into Greatness. We're collaborating with them by working with their teaching staff. Most teachers, even in the preschool level, they don't know anything about art. They'll tell you through the books and say, make sure you're set up about, but they don't really tell you how to have children to explore art. And the only way that you can do that is showing them what those pieces are and how they connect. Like the brushes, what brush would you use to make the stroke for the sunflower? Okay. So things like that. So we're going to work with them on developing a pre-K art studio so the kids can explore, and also explain to them how to use various tools that they have for art. So that's exciting. So that's in the next few months.
Now, over the past couple of years, we've seen across the country art budgets get cut in the school systems. How do you feel about that?
You really want me to tell you?
I
I
do.
think it's horrible. I think it's horrible because dating myself. When I grew up, it was for the whole child. We had the arts, we had the music, we had home ec. It disturbs me that we're shortchanging our kiddos, and it's not fair. Many kiddos that when they leave high school, they're not prepared to be out there on their own because they don't know anything about budgeting. They don't know anything about cooking. They don't know anything about paying bills. They don't have a clue. Okay. For crafty people such as myself and others, if they notice these trends of what's going on, take advantage of it. Pull together some strategies in which you can help these young people be together. So when they leave the high school, that they're really prepared to work and be self-sufficient. But no, I don't like that. That's the first thing they want to do is cut funding for the arts. But all you're doing is cutting funding on your kiddo.
Yeah. Absolutely. I think that when we start to think about businesses, especially as we expand or have a tenured business like yours in terms of experienced CEOs, one of the things that we encourage our founders to do is to really dig deep into why they're doing what they do. And you were there when we've done some of our activities where we pull out the purpose behind why we're doing, the communities that we want to serve, the demand that's in the world. And I know for me, one of the things that's been frustrating as a parent is to see budgeting cut around art programs, but to also just know that whole child approach is not being taken across the board, right? So like my children have had the privilege of going to private schools at a younger age. They're in the public school system now, but at a younger age where they had all of these resources and it really made a difference. And so for me now, as a parent switching to the public school system, I find myself advocating even more for making sure that not just my children have access to these things. And so I think that we've gotten into a space as a country where everyone starts to think through this lens of my kid got access to art. That's just not good enough. If you saw the positive impact that it had on your child, imagine what it could have on the world if all children had access to it. So, do you have anything that you involve yourself in that really advocates for keeping these programs in the Arizona community or in things across policy or anything like that? Or have you been involved in anything like that in the past?
Absolutely. As I said before, I've been in this game for over 37 years. And being here in the state of Arizona, I joined the League of Women Voters.
Mm-hmm.
And through the League of Women Voters, I do go with them when they go advocate for certain educational issues because I'm on that team there.
Mm-hmm.
We go to the state capitol and we present certain concerns regarding funding for the public schools. So yeah, I am very vocal on that. In fact, I write an opinion page for a community newspaper here.
Oh, wonderful.
And yeah, and I belong to several different art groups, art
Mm-hmm.
education groups here. I'm still a part of the early childhood education program here in the state of Arizona. So yeah, I'm very much involved statewide, what's going on educationally. So I let my voice be heard when it's necessary. But for the most part, my biggest concern here is the possibility of some public schools closing and the overfilling those public schools that are going to still remain. That's not going to be a good fix, but it's probably going to happen. I don't know. I'm trying to be positive about this, but I don't know. I don't know. Right now, my gut tells me that this is going to be a big mess because we are already 50th in the state for the whole United States. The Arizona
50th and what?
meaning that we're the lowest as far as public education.
Oh,
Meaning,
really? Look,
yes.
Georgia is 49, so y'all beat us.
But it's funny, I can laugh with you, Lena, but when I first got here, it was 40. I came from Michigan. Okay. We were much more progressive in educational standards than what it was here. Because a lot of things that I found, what I learned back home, they did not have or never heard of, which I said, okay. So I had to get a little more involved as to what it was they were doing and learn what they know. and help where I could, talk about change where I could. And that was pretty much it, because I didn't really know their program so much. But now that I've been more actively involved, I know what's going on and how to combat it so much. There's a lot of rise of charter schools, nothing wrong with charter schools per se, but I don't want them to think that they're the mecca of public schools, because they're not, because many of them are not equipped as far as education, with their teaching teams, because a lot of the teaching teams are not certified teachers. And some parents think because the package, the building is so pretty, the aesthetics are so pretty, but what's your child learning? What are they actually learning? And someone asked me before, did you ever have the opportunity to work in a charter school? Yes, I did. And I was fooled by the beautiful aesthetics and surroundings until I actually uncovered and peeling back the layers of their program. They really didn't have no program.
But that's also with private schools too sometimes.
Exactly. And I'm saying, wait a minute, you're advertising that you have all this for after school and you don't.
Yeah.
What is going on? That's false advertising. But anyway.
Yeah. I think that's something that as a parent, I'm in the heart of that, in the belly of that right now. It's really trying to distinguish between pretty and real. And I think that in the midst of trying to find the real, and you can hear my children in the background, is really getting to the core of, are they getting these life skills? And I think that a big part of life is having the skill of learning to think for yourself, but also what I would refer to as the creation process, which is art. Are you familiar with the book, The Artist's Way?
No, doesn't sound familiar to me at this
So
moment.
this particular book is something that was referred to me, but essentially it's a book that many people in various artistic fields use when they feel like they've hit writer's block or they've hit a point where they feel stuck in their creation process. And it just essentially takes you through, call it like 20-day path of rediscovering why you do what you do in your creation process. And so I love this book because it's not just for people who are paintbrush to canvas, but they take it and teach it as everybody is an artist, right? And so I can imagine for you as an art teacher in your classroom, you're also teaching that every student and every human has an artistic approach to life. And so I would love to understand your philosophy for how you look at art as a way of life in terms of creating our way.
Okay. Oh, that's a real big question. I would say art is the only subject that goes through all the academics, from the English, the math, the science. Okay. And I say that because with art, sometimes you have to measure how many drops of certain colors you want in order to make this art piece transcribe to what it is you visualize it being. So there's the science. And then for the English part, how do you want people to view it? What do you hope that they see? Okay, you have one vision, how you want it to be, but others may see it differently, and that's okay. But how you want them to see, all right? So with the art, as you say, it's a process, and I always tell my students that art is a process, not a product, okay? And when I say it's not a product being mass produced, no, you can't. I mean, you could, but where's the point in that? Enjoy the process, the steps you take in order for that academic side of you to take not only a break, but take note of what it is that you want to bring out as an artist. As I told you, artists are more or less objective, not subjective. As most of your academic things come out, it's subjective. It's either right, it's either 1 + 1 is 2, right? There's no argument about that. 1 + 1. So therefore, there you are right there. But with art, there's many pathways in which you can take to view a painting. You may say it's a sunflower. I may say it's a marigold. And this is why. So you have to be open to the process of what it is that you're making. And there lies the answer. Art is just being open having yourself open to have people look at your work and say, wow, how does she make that? What can I do to make that look even better or more realistic, right? And that's something that we strive to do. When I'm working on a piece, I'm working because I'm thinking that, okay, she said she wanted flowers, but she wanted something a little different. So I said, what does she like different? I like Chinese mums as far as flowers. So those that know me know that. So you might see a Chinese mum in it somewhere, even though you may have asked for a marigold. I'll put the marigold in there, but somewhere it's going to be a piece of me in there to let you know that I'm giving you a piece of me in the art that I'm producing for you. It's no different than when I'm teaching the kiddos how to sew, showing them how to do that straight stitch and practicing that straight stitch and seeing them do the straight stitch on their own makes me say, oh, wow, they did it. And they were listening. So to make my point even more so, that it's most unfortunate that they don't see art as valuable as it is, because as I mentioned, it goes through it's the only subject that goes through all the academics, all of them. And to cut it is like cutting yourself short of your kid's future. That's my point.
Yeah. I love that. Beautifully explained. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you. Can I show you what my kiddos did? They're doing a donation next week to a community, homeless community, and also DV shelter.
Mhm.
So bringing a sense of community into our basic sewing class is something that the kiddos have to know. So we explained that in the beginning. And so anyway, as we got closer to the holidays, they decided, I should say, to make pillows and repurpose these Barbie dolls that were donated to my business, right? Because I'm saying, what am I gonna do with all these deadgum dolls? So I'm gonna show you. This is one. Can you see it?
Hold it back a little bit. Hold it back a little bit.
Back. Oh, can you see?
Did those?
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, they made these. And for the dolls, they gave me the design. I had them to draw the designs up. We only have one sewing machine at this program, this moment. So with funding, I'm hoping we'll get more machines, but right now we only have one. So it's been me sewing out what they cut out.
Yeah.
What? Can you see her?
Oh, yeah. That is super cute.
So we ordered the boxes from Amazon, obviously. And the kiddos were so excited. Here's the other one.
Oh my goodness.
So they did 50 dolls and 100 pillows. This is 150 kiddos. So they're excited. They can't go on the tour. So my partner and myself and the school principal, we're going next Friday. No, the week after you guys leave. I'm sorry. The following week we go and deliver everything. So we're all excited about that. The kiddos made these creative cards, let them know happy holidays. And I like the fact that they said, God is with you always. It was just, I didn't tell them to say it. This is what they wrote. So I left it on there and we'll take it the following Friday. I have to let you know what happened.
Thanks for listening to Smart Chat. Smart CEOs, you are on your way. We hope this episode has been fantastic for you. We are excited that you were here. So here's the deal. Follow us on all of our social media, look up the Kyra Company, and join us on all of our private platforms. We invite you to join our private Facebook group at the Smart CEOs. Jump in, join the conversation, and learn more about what we can do every day to grow our business and grow our community. Thanks so much for joining us. We're excited that you were here. Once again, I'm Kyra Hardwick, and you know it. I was thrilled to bring the Smart Chat to you. Take care. Talk to you soon.